When I first started playing Rimworld, I really had no idea what I was getting into. I heard it was a tough game, where colonies constantly struggle to survive, but nothing prepared me for the reality of the first 60 days. It began simply. 3 colonists crash landed, and we built a shelter, hunted for food, and planted crops. Then the chaos began. Raids, wild animals, food shortages, and mental breakdowns. Each setback felt like a disaster, but those small victories kept me motivated. Throughout the story, I discovered that Rimworld is about more than just surviving. It's about adapting, rebuilding, and finding hope amid the chaos. And from that point on, I was completely hooked. So let's start this story introducing you to the colony. First we got Bishop, a network engineer with a passion in construction, crafting, and intellectual things. But he's pushing 60 and has an injury on his arm. Next is Ivan, a colony settler, good at farming, mining, cooking, and incapable of firefighting. So he will literally watch the world burn and enjoy every second of it. He's also gay. Lastly is Noodle, an architect good at artistic and medical jobs. The 3 of them crash landed in a forest. We started out with a couple things, like packaged meals, medkits, guns, and resources. First order of business was to make a stockpile area to put all our supplies. Just a little heads up, everything I learned was from the tutorial. Everything else I was learning on the spot, so this might be a hard watch for all you Rimworld vets out there. Next, I made a small wooden house with 3 beds, a cooking station, and a research station. In the research station, I started learning how to make recurve bows. We had some traders pass by our colony, but we weren't interested in anything they were selling, so they kinda just loitered around. The pawns did the standard labor work after that, just cutting trees and mining rocks. Bishop was our best shooter, so I gave him the hunting rifle and sent him out there to do his thing. As he explored, he came near an ancient wall that contained great danger. Shit, you don't gotta tell me twice. We never stepped foot in there ever again. I set up a butcher station right outside the house to get the meat and leather from the animals. Then I made 2 growing areas, one for rice and one for cotton. Our supplies were deteriorating in the open, so we built another shed just for storage and a separate stockpile for corpses. Right outside our colony, a wild woman named Grego appeared. Nobody had a high enough level to tame her, but luckily she wasn't hostile, so she kinda just hung around. A group of slavers came through and we had some money on us, so I said, hey, let's buy a slave. So I bought Bowman, a female escapee, and she joined our colony as the 4th member. I expanded the barracks a bit and made an extra bed. The next day, Bishop was just hunting non-stop. But during the night, a transport pod crashed near our settlement. It was carrying a survivor named Erdink, and he was gravely injured. So we rescued him and also yoinked his shotgun. Eventually he recovered, but he did not want to join our colony, so he just left. I moved the farming plots to the fertilized dirt nearby and made them smaller because harvesting was taking too long. We also built some tables and chairs outside so the pawns have a place to eat. But as we were building, tragedy struck. A wolf killed our colony dog, Tomomi. Bishop quickly got revenge on the wolf. We made sure Tomomi was given a proper send-off. Ooh. The pawns were building when our first raid alert went off. A group of tribespeople from Kolmea kinship, and by group I meant one naked guy with a spiked club, so we made quick work of him. Luckily we took him down instead of killing him, so we quickly built a jail cell behind the barracks to keep him in. Only a few hours later and we're getting raided again, this time by the Black Tigers. They need to stop sending in these cavemen. One of the raiders was too loyal to their tribe, so when he healed up, we just banished him. Grego, the wild woman, was still roaming around the colony, so I sent Bishop to capture her. We kept her in jail until she wanted to join the team. Another transport pod crashed and this time it was Crawford. We rescued her and let her recover. We were slowly evolving as a settlement, so that meant we needed better materials. I sent some people to mine any compacted steel or machinery veins in the mountains. On the research table, we learned how to make batteries, so it was finally time to have electricity. We needed something that generated power for us, so I built a wind turbine. Then we needed to store that power somewhere, so we built 3 batteries next to the turbine. Oh, look at that, another raid. The colonists took him out and immediately went to dinner. Bishop was injured from the fight, and Bowman got stomach poisoning from our food. Grind don't stop though, and they worked through the pain. We set up conduits connecting to the buildings. But while we were working, a mad boom rat attacked us. Now we had to make sure to fight it away from any buildings because they do explode. But the boom rat went straight for Bishop, and they started throwing hands. Now let's watch Ivan, equipped with a revolver, come in like Superman and save the day. Yeah, so I lied. It took Ivan over 20 shots to kill it, and Bishop almost died to a boom rat. We rushed him to a medical bed though. Now, a lot of things ended up happening here. Firstly, a wanderer named Frank joined the colony, and then Garego went berserk because we kept her in a darkly lit jail cell with little to no food. My bad. Throughout the night, she banged on the door until she passed out. I'm pretty sure she was not convinced enough to join the colony, so I just released her. But before she could leave, she died from malnutrition. Again, my bad. A new group of traders arrived in the morning, and we sold a couple unused weapons for some silver. And we finished researching solar panels, so we went and built one right away. A couple days later, I noticed Bowman was always in a bad mood, and that's when I realized she was a drug addict. Now normally I would just give her the drugs to be happy, but we had absolutely nothing, so she had to deal with it. The withdrawals hit her so hard that she had a breakdown and hid in the barracks for a couple days. But other than that, everything was going pretty smooth. Our food was a little scarce sometimes, but nothing too crazy. But while I was adding things to the workshop, we were hit with terrible news. Frank was mining some rocks when the roof collapsed on him and he died. We get no time to grief though because another raid is commencing. Ivan still be missing his shots, but we got Noodle with the bow and arrow to secure the kill. Afterwards, we dug a grave for Frank. The next day we built a freezer because food was rotting away too fast. Noodle went into a psychotic state and started wandering around doing nothing because she was insulted by one of the other pawns. And Bowman was smashing things in the barracks because she still wanted them drugs. If you couldn't tell by now, the colony was in shambles, and it only got worse. A long and strong thunderstorm hit the settlement, and this is where I learned the batteries aren't waterproof. Throughout the night, the batteries wouldn't stop blowing up, so once the rain let up, we built a small building to house all the batteries. A lot of our pawns were complaining about the small housing, so I extended the barracks. Another merchant was passing by, and they were selling some livestock, so I bought a cow and a bull. Then we built a farm big enough for them to comfortably live in. While all of this was happening, another survivor crash landed, and this time it was a teacher named Nils, so we went ahead and saved him. He had no previous affiliations, so he instantly joined the group. The next couple days were pretty normal, until we finally got raided again. And to my surprise, they stopped bringing the cavemen. There were 3 black tigers, 2 with melee weapons and 1 with a revolver. I called all capable pawns just to be safe. When the raiders got close, we focused on the one with the gun. Then when the other 2 got close, they were already dead. The last guy actually ran away, and there was no point in chasing him, so we just let him go. Now this was probably the biggest win we've had recently, but we had no time to enjoy the victory, because while out hunting, Bishop was attacked by a wolf. I sent Ivan out to try to help him, but to make matters worse, a lynx also started to hunt Bishop, and he died. But to make matters even worse, Ivan also got mauled by the same wolf, and he died. But to make matters even worse, the same wolf got into a building and attacked Noodle. Bowman eventually killed the wolf and rescued Noodle, but then she bled out and died. With more than half our population dead to one wolf and our backs against the wall, it was time to come up with a plan to restore this colony back into its former glory. And the plan I came up with was to quit to the main menu and delete the save files.